Good morning, it's Wednesday. I don't know what day. I think it's the 13th or the 4th. Is it the 13th? It must be the 13th of November. I'm on my new commute. I thought I would bring you guys with me. It is such an easy commute. It's about 20 minutes just because of the traffic. If there was no traffic, it would be about 15. I do have to go out of town, so I start kind of in the city and there's traffic, and then I get out in the country. So it's actually really a nice commute compared to what I was doing before. So very, very thankful for that. We have times to close on our house on Friday. Thank you, Lord. I'm very, very thankful. So we have AM time to close where we lived, and then we have like 3 hours to get to our new city and close here. We close here at 3 o'clock and get our keys to our house. And then that evening we are going to clean and, you know, do what we can. We're not going to be staying in the house Friday night, I don't think. I think we're going to be staying in a hotel. And then Saturday, we have a lot of people coming over to help us unload, which I am just extremely grateful for. I'm not having to use GPS to get to my job, which is wonderful. I will have to use it for going on home visits. I went on my first home visit yesterday, and I shadowed one of the nurses, and it was great. It was really fun. So that was a really cool experience, and I'm really enjoying my new job. I have so much to learn, you guys, and so much to review. I'm really good on the pregnancy stuff all the way up until delivery and sort of newborn stuff. And then like the 2 years that we spend with them on baby and toddler will be a lot of, refreshing and learning about the developmental stages and stuff. Sorry, my phone likes to try to focus. So, I'm excited to be moving in, and, I was just reflecting on how, while this has been stressful, it's been a relatively easy move. I think probably the main stressors have just been, my husband and I just sort of doing different things. And we've done this before. We had our move to New York, which is when he went to seminary, and did I go out ahead of time? No, we all went together for that one. But I had a job to go to. So in nursing, just a little tip if you're, thinking about going into nursing or are in nursing and have never switched jobs. It's always a good idea to get a job, and this may be in any field, but it's always a good idea to apply and get a job while you have a job. It's especially in nursing, they do not like to see gaps in employment, and I say that as somebody who has done hiring and interviewing. We like to see, very consistent employment because it says something about the nurse. It says that she's experienced, highly desirable, that she is, has a good work ethic and continues to work. And we just like to see that, that there's no gap. And I will tell you, a lot of that has to do with when you have gaps in nursing, you can lose some of your skills and your proficiencies, and especially in terms of your bedside skills and things, assessment, charting, all that. Woo. It's really, I think it's freaked out by the sun. There's a lot of sun this morning, so it's just a good idea. And I tried to, I think someone else gave me that advice, and it has never failed me, that if I know that we're relocating, I go ahead and apply before we leave. It's also easier to get your references in line and that sort of thing when you're still in a position. Like this last position, I was in the office while they were calling my references, and it was really cool. So it actually worked out beautifully.
So consequently, what's happened, and see, this is the part that may not be doable for people, is I have had to move ahead of us. And so when we moved from New York to this state, I had to go cross country by myself, and then I stayed. There was actually a metropolitan in the church offered his condominium because he was, you know, traveling all over the world, and he let me stay in his condominium. And I had one of my best friends from New York come out, and she stayed with me for a couple of weeks. Was it a week? A couple weeks? It was a while. She stayed with me for a little bit because I was so freaked out. Like, I think I was just really nervous, and we didn't know what my husband was going to be doing. Originally, I thought he would be at the cathedral in the city, and then right after I got here, they told him, no, we're going to have you start a mission about 30 minutes south. Well, I was working north. I was working like 30 to 40 minutes north of the cathedral, so that would have made my commute time over an hour every day. And I'm just not willing. I've driven, you know, I've commuted my whole life. This is one of the shortest commutes because I'm commuting about 15 to 20 minutes in the morning. But I've commuted up to 40, 45 minutes. And that's about all I'm willing to dedicate to commuting for a job, because it really cuts into your quality of life and your, you know, work-life balance and your family time when you're having to commute over an hour. I mean, that's 2 hours of your day that is gone. And I really was getting tired of my previous commute. The traffic, the accidents, you know, the losing that big chunk of time from my life and everything. You know, it takes a toll on you. So not only did I move cross country by myself, was staying in somebody's condo and starting a new job, and we were opening a hospital. I found out like maybe 6 weeks in that I needed to relocate, and the system I was in, they didn't have any openings in L&D in the city. They tried to find me an opening to transfer me to a closer hospital, but they just didn't have anything. And so there was another hospital system that like immediately picked me up for L&D, and I worked there for a few months until the hospital that I started at contacted me and they had an opening. Which was wonderful, because at the time, it's just very complicated. Sorry guys, this is a complicated story, but the system that I had agreed to work in, the second place, did not feel safe to me. They didn't have very good staffing, and some of their L&D practices, very high intervention. I didn't feel like it was patient-centered at all. And it was not a teaching facility, and I always like to work in teaching hospitals. It was not. And I was, you know, just sort of appalled at the way the attendings did things in many cases. I would have moved anyway. So the initial system contacted me and said, hey, we have an opening, please, you know, consider. So I went right into that, and it was really a great experience for me. It was a teaching hospital with residents, which I love, high-risk patients, which I really enjoy high risk, and I enjoy the adrenaline that comes along with that. Although at that hospital, I had a cloud. In nursing, we call that a crap magnet, but we don't call it crap. I was one of those, so if you are in healthcare, you know what I'm talking about. So I would walk in the building, and they would open the OR. They're like, the OR's open for you. And I would be like, what did you guys give me? And they always gave me like the most complicated patients, or they would give me the most complicated, or they would give me the natural patients. And the natural patients I love, you know, a lot of times they'd have a doula or midwife or something. And I love that, but that can be a lot of work as well, because there's a lot of, not only are you doing your nurse work, you're doing a lot of support, and it can be involved. So I don't know why I'm telling you all this, but
I stayed with that system, and then I opened another hospital for that system. And then, why are you honking? You're honking at her? She wouldn't do anything. And then that's how I ended up. So I did all of that L&D, and then I ended up needing a break from nights L&D because I could not. I was the most experienced charge nurse, or one of the most experienced charge nurses in L&D, and they were talking to me about being a night supervisor, and I just really needed to get off nights. I was not sleeping well. Emotionally, I was not doing well. And you guys kind of saw the remnants of that when it really took me a long time to get out of that headspace, and I feel like even last year, I was still like working through some of that baggage. So when we came here, you know, I did think about going back to L&D. Labor and delivery is what I'm talking about. So I'm a labor and delivery nurse. That's my specialty, is women's health. And it is my, like, most favorite thing. If I didn't have to do all the charting and crazy stuff, I love being there when a new baby is born. That is just the coolest thing. I can't tell you how many, you know, lives I have seen come into this world. I can't tell you how many times I have caught the baby myself. You know, because the doctor didn't make it in time, or, you know, the mom was a multip and the baby came too fast for the doctor to even make it down the hall. The biggest baby I ever caught like that, the doctor wasn't there, and thankfully I was with my supervisor, she was working that night, was 11.5 pounds. And that baby just kept coming and coming. We were like, what? He was so tall. He's really cute. So yeah, it's just, you know, I've just seen some of the most heartbreaking things and some of the most wonderful things. I have met some, you know, real, like, heroes in labor and delivery, whether it's the patient, the doctors I've worked with, the other nurses. I will always have a place in my heart for labor and delivery nurses, because nobody knows what that looks like unless you have done it. And I'm not a postpartum nurse. I'm not mother-baby. So in these big hospital systems, you have a nurse that, L&D nurses, we triage the patient, which means we see if they're in labor or not, or if they have something else going on. We admit the patient, we take care of the patient through the whole process, and you usually have 2 patients that are laboring at the same time, and so that can be complicated. We also circulate the OR. We are OR circulators, so we have to have that specialty under our belt. We also do PACU, which is post-anesthesia, so we recover mom after anesthesia, both from the OR and from epidural anesthesia. So you have to be extremely knowledgeable. You're also floated to antepartum, which is your high-risk moms that are pregnant, that have multiple risk factors, you know, and you have to take care of them, keep them stable, and keep the baby stable, because you've got 2 patients when you've got a pregnant mom. So, and then after baby and mom are stabilized, we hand them off to postpartum, and that's sort of the, you know, I used to have people say, oh, you get to play with the mamas and the babies, and not really, no. We're more like the life and death piece of that. Like heavy on the support, and then when things go wrong, we're there to save someone's life, or save a baby's life. That's what we do. And then the postpartum piece is the bonding piece, the breastfeeding piece, you know, learning to care for baby, swaddle baby, change baby, you know, there's education out the wazoo, making sure that baby is transitioning to, you know, outside the womb in terms of keeping their temperature up and being able to, you know, get nutrition and, you know, keeping their temperature up in terms of warm and making sure they don't get a fever. Blood sugars, you know, their bilirubin in terms of jaundice, like all of those pieces as mother and baby. So I guess I'm just trying to clarify for you guys so you know, kind of when you meet, you know, you meet nurses and they tell you, I'm a med surg nurse, I'm an ICU nurse, I'm an ER nurse. That that means something. So if someone breaks their arm, I have a basic understanding of what that looks like, because I was, you know, taught the basics, the bare minimum in nursing school, because these specialties are so incredibly huge. If you know an ER nurse, she knows a little about a lot, okay? When you meet a specialized nurse, we know a lot about a little. A med-surg nurse kind of also knows a little about a lot, because they see kind of everything. But anyway, that's kind of the differences, and I am so happy to be back in women's health. I loved my exposure to the HIV population. Those patients are amazing. The treatments we have for HIV are amazing. I learned so much, and I'm like so just thankful for that opportunity. And at the same time, I'm really thankful to be back in my specialty. I love women's health, and the mom that we went and saw yesterday was talking about her labor and delivery experience, and I just was like, oh, she was talking about things, and in my head I'm like, oh yeah, because this and this was happening, and I just feel so comfortable. You know, with the HIV, they would talk about things, and I would be like, I've never even heard of that, like what is that, and have to go research a bunch of stuff. So I will still be on a learning curve, because you're always learning as a nurse, but it's different. This morning I had some oatmeal. Back to Weight Watchers. I had some oatmeal for 6 points. I had some eggs for 0, and I had some coffee for 1 point. I'm going to try to keep it together. I have a healthy choice meal in the freezer at work for today for lunch. And then the boys want to go out for dinner tonight, which is fine. Then I have to pack up the hotel room tonight and get it all loaded in my car, because I check out from the hotel in the morning, and then we go, and then I work, and then we go and start loading and getting that all done. It's just a lot. My Lord, so much. So please pray for my back. I have some back issues from being on L&D for so long, and my back is doing really well, but moving tends to mess with it a little bit. So if you wouldn't mind saying a prayer for my back, I'd really appreciate it. Let me know how I can pray for you. I can't wait to go back to meetings. I'm like so ecstatic about that, and to getting back into some sort of rhythm. I feel very off kilter, and I'm extremely thankful that I have my job to keep me distracted, because if I was just sitting at home in a boxed up house, I would go bananas. So I'm very thankful that I've had this, even though it's stressful in another way, because I'm learning a new job, and I'm homeless. You know, all things work together for good. So I've met some amazing people. I feel so incredibly thankful for the people that I've met. They've been extremely kind and gracious, and have extended friendship and love. In fact, I had a fortune cookie last night. I went to what's it called, Panda Express, and got veggies and meat and stuff. And I ate my fortune cookie, and the inside said, "You are surrounded with love and friendship," something like that. And I actually started crying, because I just feel like that's such truth right now. From you all too, I appreciate your friendship and your support while I've been off program and in La La Land, and I know a lot of you started watching because I was really on fire and doing great, and I've had like a big sort of, almost like a pause on my journey, that I keep trying to hit the reset button, but I'm, not being so successful with that. But I'm very thankful that I haven't gained all my weight back. My clothes still fit. I just want to do better, and I will. So today I'm going to really focus on just taking care of my health, and doing a good job at my new position. So I'm I'm going to go now because I'm pulling into the hospital. God bless you all. Thanks for watching, and I will talk to you soon. If I can turn this off. Good Lord. It won't stop.